So Eric, do you mind introduce yourself and your
Yeah, of course,
business?
for sure.
Thank you.
First of all, thanks for having me, and thanks to the executive team for putting this event together. Events like these never run entirely smoothly, and there's always hiccups, and it's always a huge task to put something like this together and get everyone together for it. So thanks a lot to the executive team for that. And thanks for all the attendees for coming out. It looks like a pretty awesome turnout. So great on you for being here, and hopefully you gain some insights from this panel. That'll be useful for you. My name is Eric. I'm a slightly more recent graduate of Queen's Commerce. I graduated in 2020. And I'm also the founder of Orb Cloud Services. So we provide cloud application hosting for developers and for organizations. So basically, if you're a developer or an organization and you're building applications or websites, we provide hosting services for you at much higher performance than alternative services at a lower price point. So that's kind of what we do. Kind of like Hakeem, I had some stints in finance while I was in school, and that's what I studied in undergrad as well. And so I sort of spent some time in that area. Ultimately, decided that it wasn't for me, and that I was a lot more passionate about applications and about exploring new technologies and really starting my own business around that. So really looking forward to sharing my little bit of experience so far and chatting with you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. That is a great intro for everyone. All right. I guess we're ready to get started. As one of the main topics in this year's Global China Connect Summit, we know that all the speakers we've invited today are all the experts and professionals in this kind of field. Now, let's dive into some questions that I really want to ask you. So I believe most of our audience today are interested in entrepreneurship, also are, in other words, how to prepare for a startup business. So the first question is, how would you start up your business? And what motivates you to start up a business, like choosing this field? Like, who do you want to take this question first?
Let me see if I can take a stab at it. So, I mean, I feel like, well, from my experience, there are about three main ways to start a business. Maybe you have an idea, or maybe you have a cool technology, something you feel like, wow, you can make money out of. And and then maybe there is a market that you see that's, you see a gap in the market. I think those are the primary ways, and whichever opportunity you choose to pursue depends on a lot of factors. Maybe your education, your skill set, and maybe the connections that you have, and all of that. I think those are the primary thing. However, I also think that, and I didn't know this before until I came to Queens for my master's innovation, and I actually learned that entrepreneurship can be taught, that you can actually teach entrepreneurship. And I just, before then, I had always thought it was something that some people had in them, but that's not true. What I have found out is that over time, you begin to see certain patterns, regardless of the business. So there is very basic things, and which I just started with. I talked about you having an idea, having an awesome technology, or seeing a gap in the market. And there is a process for solving all of that. I don't know if that's my intro. I can talk more about it as we go along, but I would like to give other guests opportunity to also share their perspective.
Great.
I can build off Hakeem's points a little bit, I think, with sort of having an idea and finding a market for that idea. For me, a big part of that whole process was really getting interested and getting excited about something that I really enjoy doing. In this case, cloud, internet, application hosting. And for anybody interested in entrepreneurship, you know, you always got to keep your eyes open in what you're interested in, and keep your eyes open for opportunities, both in the market and for ideas that you have. And for me, you know, I realized, because I build a lot of applications, and I realized along the way that, you know, hosting and deployment is actually pretty hard in a lot of cases. So I thought, you know, there has to be a better way. And so why don't I build that better way? So I think for a lot of people out there who are looking to start businesses, it's really important to keep your eyes and your mind open and always be on the lookout.
Yeah. So for me, it's goes way back to high school. So I totally agree with Hakeem about the entrepreneurship. It's something that is, like, people say it's you're born an entrepreneur, but like, yeah, it's like you can be trained as one, or you can get like better when you're practicing all kind of like business and everything. But for me, it's all came natural. I had my first company in high school, and when I was in grade 12, I actually got recognized by like all the Dragon's Den, all those like entrepreneurship programs and all those shows, and I sold my first company to Wind Mobile. So it's Freedom Mobile now. It was Wind by that time. So that was my first journey of doing something, start something by myself. And then I just start to like try new things. And yeah, I totally agree with Eric. It's like you have to look out for like all kinds of opportunities and see what you're passionate about. I did have some like some doubts about like, should I start my own company or should I just have my own job? That's why I took the government job when I graduate. But I think it's more about like when I decided to like quit everything and start this business, it's not about starting, it's more about continue to do that, because I've been done it for like 4 years when I was in when I was in university. And it's more like a founder market fit. I think that's pretty important, because if you are your potential client, you actually know that, oh, what do you need, like all the needs, all the like everything that you need, and you like all the problem you have, you can just design the product or the services to fix that. And so I think all just came natural. I just started to like build stuff since when I was young, and this is just for the current business that I had, is more like a founder market fit. Yeah, so it just came natural. Like I just continue to do that.
Yeah, I just like totally agree with Liana. That's so true. Like just try new things, keep finding, and finding words of passion, and just like be natural. That's what I think. Yeah. And my next question is gonna be, how did you get the funding to start your business? Like, who did you want to take this question first?
Well, I mean, there are many ways to find money to start your business. Usually, for most people, maybe the family. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term, family, friends, and fools, FFF. Usually, that's how most people start. But you know, everybody's story is different. In my case, I started using credit card. You know, I was in a situation where I had this idea. A lot of people are excited about the idea. Oh, they're thinking, and it's not the kind of idea like maybe Eric that you can quickly make money off. Like it takes a lot of work and all of that. It is what part of my language, but we call it a sexy problem when you're talking about education, health, you know, social impact. You know, people are excited about it. It inspires people, but it doesn't mean that they would put their hand in their pocket to give you money. So how do you prove to people that that idea works? Because whatever you're doing at the beginning is just a hypothesis. you're making certain assumptions that if you do this thing this way, then this is going to be the outcome. That's really what you're doing at the beginning. And all you're doing as a startup is to prove that that idea, to prove that that hypothesis is correct. If it's correct, you win. If it's not, you lose your shirt. That's really the summary. So for me, I quickly realized that I needed to show people results, you know, and there was no time. So I did whatever I could, and the easiest way was to use my credit card, you know, pay for stuff, you know, pay for websites. And I think something that we tapped into early on because of taking advantage of whatever is around you is we got a little funding from Smith School of Business, like a seed from the program, because it was 1 Million Teachers was also the capstone project from for my master's program. So I realized early on that I needed all of those kind of sources. So every day I needed to make progress by spending money, taking money from friends, taking money from family, and all of that. And we went to a lot of competitions. You know, like you begin to look around you, how can you easily find money? Because no bank is going to talk to you as a startup, right? So it's always going to be yourself, friends, and family like that. So I think I was very lucky. We got Queen's University to early on sign a partnership with us to work with us. So that gave us huge credibility. That made a lot of people show up and say, hey, I want to support you guys. But it's really, even up till now, it's mainly personal funds and friends, family, grants. We've received a lot of grants and all of that. And I'm saying this because everybody's story is different. Like I'm sure the path that Eric and all the other guests, Liana, they are taking is completely different from mine. But this is how, if I was running another business, it would probably be a different model. And I think that's one of the beauty of entrepreneurship. There are no answers. There is no answer. Like there are questions, but there is no defined answer. You just find your path as you go along and fix things as you go along.
Yeah, well, I heard my name, so I'll just go now. Yeah, so for me, it's a little bit different, yeah, but I'll first note the similarity. I did get funding from Smith as well. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure most, all of the attendees are 100% like from Queen's University. Is that, yeah, okay, that's, so Queen's University has a lot of money. So when you're a student, just like utilize all the great benefits of being a student, like use your status, use your identity, because I remember there are just like so many pitch competitions and all those opportunities you can apply. And even because it's been a while, but I remember like even I left school like the last month before graduation, apply for the Dare to Dream, and that's a like that's the no question asked 14K.
I got that money too, Leanne.
Right? That's a no question asked 14K.
$15,000, yeah.
Right? Like, so use your student status well when you're a student. That's actually really, that's really helpful. Just like use them and apply whatever you can and whatever you see. So that's the similarity. And for us, it's for my business right now, it's more a profit. So it's a service-based company. So basically you earn the revenue, you have the profit, like revenue first, and then you deliver the services. So for me, it's I was in a intersection. I was there to choose. I do have like 2 idea and 2 formed business already before I graduate. And the other business is called Mia Technology. It's a platform utilizing AI to maximize to minimize the maximize the what's that word? optimize the revenue and it's more like a revenue optimization platform for restaurant and all those service like barbershop, all those nail salons and everything. So basically we apply discount, like active discounts to different customers at different time. So it's a dynamic pricing that you see in the airline platform, and we use that model to apply those to the service industry, like restaurants, spa, and all those places. So that's we have the demo, we have the first version of the app and everything. That was like a big thing, like app, like you have to have an app for like all kind of like startup you have at that time. So we actually won a lot of like pitch competition when we're students. Like when you're a student, just use your identity. When it got like around 100K investments, and like that was like pretty cool. We got to a lot of like competition, to finalists, won like different kind of medals. That actually can get into your head, like be like, oh, so you should continue to do that, that's the next big thing. But I did a quick cash curve analysis, and I realized that I need maybe 400K to realize the first revenue, like to get some more profits. And I need more if I want to expand the whole business. That's the time I realized, oh, okay, so this is like Mia technology. It's like it brought me so many like awards and fundings, but this might not be the thing I want to do, because I just don't know if I can hang in there for longer. So I went to the next, like my current business, which is more like a service company that I generate revenue first and perform the services later. So for this business, I didn't get any, like I don't need funding. I need my clients to pay me first, and then perform more services, and that's not a funding, more like a funding problem, and it's more like a traditional way of like generating revenue. We did has a angel investment that is willing to like invest for like 100K into our business, but we declined the VC, because for a traditional business, it's more like a revenue driven. You don't really need to have more VC to be on board. But that's definitely not the story for a like Mia technology, like the technology or those kind of like funding needed platforms, or those kind of business. Those you definitely need more money to like to be big. So at this moment, we're just heading like we're in our 10 million year at this moment. So for the past 3 years since I graduated, we scaled from 20K to like now this is our 10 million years. So it's a traditional business. You just need to hustle like to get more clients, and to perform your services and to perfect your services, and that's it. It's basically 2 pathways that you can choose, and both are great. Both are great experience.
Yeah, I would kind of echo what everyone said so far. I think it's always interesting to hear different entrepreneurs tell their stories, because like Hakeem said, everyone's a little bit different in how they got started, and especially with things like funding. With Orb, I've actually also not had any external funding, and the part of that is because, like Leanna, we earn our revenues first before we actually have any costs. And the second thing is, in my mind at least, a lot of businesses, a lot of startups, and a lot of ideas that people have, you can actually get started with not very much funding at all, or a little bit of funding. There are some businesses that you need a significant amount of capital to get started, and for that you might need investors, or you might need to approach a bank or something. But a lot of ideas, like if you're selling a product online and you're worried about inventory, just do some pre-sales, right? Put up a website, see if anybody clicks. and then worry about inventory after. You just got to get smarter and a bit more creative about how you actually launch and what your product might look like initially. There's always a way to get started with close to no capital. And so early on, that was sort of my approach. Get the burn rate down as low as possible. And for me, at least, I have the benefit of having gone to Queen's Commerce, but also having started to code at a really young age. And so if any of you guys out there is thinking of learning to do any sort of programming, trying to learn Python or JavaScript or programming language, I really encourage you to do that, because that's one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people when they want to start businesses is, like Lana said, you got to get an app, you got to get a website, you got to get all these things, and being able to code really helps, really goes a long way to get your business off the ground. So I really encourage you to look into that. And I actually totally agree with Leanna that if you are a student, 100% leverage that. One of the things that I found out very early on in my journey is that basically every week there were like 2 or 3 pitch competitions, student entrepreneurship programs that were sponsored by universities or cities or governments. All sorts of people are looking at ways to support entrepreneurship. And if you just do a quick Google search, you'll find like a ton of them. So if money really is a hurdle for you to start your business, a Google search is all you need to really start solving that. And so for anybody who actually has an idea and really wants to get started, right? Those are the things I would tell you, like go on Google, find ways to get money, learn how to code, and start building your product and start trying to sell it in a really creative way.
That's really amazing. I feel like after you guys share your experience, I really learned a lot, and I never know there's really tons of ways to fund such like amount of money. And my next question is gonna be like, in your journey to like be such entrepreneur, in your journey to be an expert in this kind of like entrepreneurship, have you ever encountered any challenges, or in another words, what has been the most significant challenge in growing your business?
Okay, I could go first. I think for me, it's always a never-ending battle to stay alive, to survive. I think it's also because the nature of what we set out to do are pretty ambitious. We said we wanted to train 1 million teachers over the next 3 to 5 years. And I don't know what I was thinking when we made that declaration. Or, it's kind of madness if I really sit down to think about it. And sometimes you make this leap without actually realizing the enormity of the work ahead of you. And so from day one, it's always been a struggle, because now we're having to produce tons and tons of content for teachers to develop those contents, and they're not really cheap to do. And you quickly realize that, wow, finding good people is really one of the biggest challenges that you can have. If maybe my organization was just focused on just starting in a very small way and growing, maybe that would have been different. But we set out to, there are some organizations you call Born Global. So from day one, we were going to do or to run our operations, servicing teachers in multiple countries at the same time. It has its own drawback, it has its own benefit, but for me, the biggest challenge has always been finding great people for us to realize our objective. I have some of the most, I get to work with some of the most amazing people ever, but yet we continue to face significant challenge as we need to ramp up our content development work and all of that. So that's the most significant challenge that we face. Everybody talks about, oh, money is a big challenge. Yes, it is. Honestly, money is probably the most, one of the biggest challenges, but the truth of the matter is that if you are able to execute very well, you have a fantastic team, it won't be as much of a problem as it should be. However, I think the whole nature of entrepreneurship is about solving problems and overcoming hurdles and, you know, finding ways around obstacles. So for that reason, it's some kind of opportunity to continue to grow.
For me, at least, I think like, oh, sorry. Okay, I'll go. So for me, at least, it's a little bit interesting to get a question like this because you know, when you start your own business, what you realize is every single thing that happens is a challenge, and every single thing that you look at really is an obstacle that you have to overcome. Whether that's, you know, setting up an accounting system, setting up an information system, you know, stuff that doesn't even have to do with your product, and then you have to talk about, okay, well, how do I talk to customers? How do I design a product that they want? How do I get feedback? And those are, some of those are like big picture things, but there's also just tiny things like, okay, I gotta, you know, do taxes, I gotta, you know, file expense reports, I gotta do all these things, and there's really a million different challenges that are all happening at once. And I think for people who are sort of just looking at starting their own business, one of the biggest challenges really is trying to figure out like what is the thing I should be doing at this point. Like getting really clear on making that decision, right? Do I focus on the product? What part of the product do I focus on? Or do I focus on, you know, sales? Is that the most important thing? Getting clarity on that, I find, having talked to entrepreneurs, has been one of the biggest areas where people stumble on. For me, at least, I find commonly is the case in tech that you really have to spend a lot of time on the product and making sure that, you know, it scales, that it works properly, that your customers enjoy using it, and you really have to start with what the customer wants and build a product. And so for me, that's been the biggest area where I've had to spend a lot of time. But for anybody looking to start a business, right, one of the biggest challenges is figuring out what to do, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree that figuring out what to do and then solve the, like, you have to see the problem first and then know how to solve it. That's definitely a big challenge, or like that's a big step for everyone to know like what to do to start a successful business. For me, the most significant challenge in growing your business, and also see the question here in the chat box for the pandemic. Yeah, the pandemic actually affect, I would say, like all kinds of business, good or bad. For education, it's a recession-proof business. So for us, it means more clients, more students, because every time there's a pandemic, there's a recession, or like things goes wrong with the world, people think about, oh, I need to study, I need to learn more, I need to take higher education. And that's actually true. That's the time that you're at the lowest opportunity cost, and you can actually develop yourself when everything's wrong outside of the world, outside of your house. So last year we opened our Vancouver office, and that's definitely not a great time, because right after everything is settled and everything is pandemic, even the airplane, like, sorry about the dog, everything is just so messy, and you just can't, you just cannot control like all the employee, like everyone is working at home, you can't manage them, and you can't control what's gonna happen next. So that's one of the significant challenge that I have to face last year, because 2 offices it's even more difficult for me to manage, especially the new office, the Vancouver office just opened. And I will say for that, like as Eric says, I need to know like what I need to look out for, like what I need to learn first, and then what will happen next. So learn that quickly, and to see like how I can solve that problem. So I read so many books and articles and blogs, podcasts about working remotely, and to like everyone has to like corporate remotely, like online, and that's definitely the most significant challenge for me for last year. And for the funding issue about Hakeem, I want to add a little bit is that money is definitely a problem that you will have if you're building a exponential growing business. Like for us, for services, more like a linear growing, that we have more people, we have more service team, and then we just grow like one by one. For those kind of like platform app or the next big thing, there definitely be fundings and VCs who are willing to invest you. But the biggest significant challenge that I had when I had those kind of business is that you have to like not all the fundings are healthy. Like you have to really look out for like what kind of funding and what kind of like percentage that they're taking from you and what you're exchanging for. And to say no to all the money is like the biggest, it's really difficult. And that's something like because we're talking about like two different type of business, and that's really hard to say no to a lot of like fundings. So that's definitely be a challenge if we're talking about like those kind of business.
Thank you so much for sharing. And my next question is going to be, what would you find the most interesting about your specific industry and like line of work?
Maybe I could kick this off with tech a little bit. Surprisingly enough, even though application hosting is kind of a tech space, there's been actually a disappointing amount of innovation in this space. So I typed in a number into my computer. I never thought I'd have to type for a long time, or hadn't typed for a long time, when I was using Amazon Web Services, because their S3 service that a lot of people use to host websites is from 2005. And that's, if you think about it, that's 15 years ago, which is quite a long time in technology years. And so it's really exciting. It's exciting in any tech space, but it's really exciting to be particularly in the application hosting space, because there's a whole slew of changes that are coming to the way the internet is going to interact with mobile. And if you look at how cloud is developing, it's still really early days. And a lot of infrastructure is getting built out. A lot of the industry is trying to get standardized and look at new ways of growing cloud adoption and look at how the internet can change moving forward. And so it's a really exciting time for a lot of the technology. But at the same time, there hasn't been a lot of innovation. So what Orb is trying to do is really bring a new type of application hosting service to the market, at more reasonable price points. And one of the things in particular for students that I get really excited about is it's easier than ever to get to participate in that, to be a web developer or to start building applications and to start learning how to code. And I saw an interesting statistic the other day that if you Google for how many cities are there on Earth, there's about 10,000 cities on Earth, probably give or take. But if you look at how many websites there are, there's over a billion, almost like 1.5 billion websites in the world. And when you learn how to code, you really unlock 100,000, a world that is 100,000 times bigger than the physical world that we live in. And that's just websites, right? We haven't talked about mobile apps. We haven't talked about all the craziness going on blockchain. We haven't talked about a whole half of technology. It's very exciting to be in this application hosting space because barriers are lower than ever to learn to code and to build something and then put it out in the world and share it with people. So that's what I wake up every morning. I'm super pumped and ready to go because I'm really excited about that.
For me, I really, first of all, I feel like I'm doing meaningful work, and that gets me really excited, knowing that the opportunity that I have to shape the next generation through teachers is really, really massive. And it's really, really exciting to be able to wake up every day, no matter the challenge we go through, to be able to work with so many teachers who are changing lives. I think for me, that's where my energy and passion comes from. Like, this is a work that really connects to my soul. If in the end we make money as a result of it, that's just an icing on the cake. And I see a whole lot of pathways. Liana was talking about the education industry. There is no bigger industry. Whatever you're doing, Eric was talking about cloud the other time. There are all kinds of opportunity. And what excites me about is the fact that we continue to enlarge our ecosystem and leverage our distribution, which is teachers, to be able to do so many more things. Like I tell my team, I said 10 years from now, we're probably just going to be scratching the surface of what is possible, from AI, virtual reality to blockchain for education and all kinds of very exciting initiatives. So, and I know like this is something that is never going to end. So I'm looking forward, excited about the future, excited about being able to even leave this behind and knowing that there are people who are as passionate about it as I am, and we'll be able to take it to the next level. So that's really, really exciting, and that gets me up every morning.
Yeah, education is passion. Like, yeah, you gotta have passion to do it because it's a long process for all the when you're talking about clients, it's students as well. They're here to learn, and it's a long process. And for me, the interesting about our industry is that so what I do is to help all the international students, mainly Chinese students or students who are studying in Canada, but they are from China, which I was before, an international student, to develop themselves, to take on a different kind of professional development program that we partner up with universities like Queen's, the DBQIC, the engineering program, and also the York University Schulich and engineering program, and also like different kind of schools like in universities in the States and in Australia as well, and also like big corporations like KP, PwC for like those like for business kids, and also like Samsung, Google, Amazon for like computer CS kids, and so all kinds of like programs. Because I realized that this program is set up for like, this is the second year. So the first, so in 2017 and 18, I realized that there's not a lot of like international students, especially from China, to have a lot of opportunity to work in those kind of local business, and we are told to study more, to have a higher GPA, and that's the most important thing. Even in summer, we take summer credit and summer schools, but for a lot of people, their resumes are not that. Not with a lot of local experience, and that actually hurts a lot, because for like people in North America, they want to see your local working experience, and we realized that pain point, and that's the problem, and we want to solve that. So the first year we partnered up with local like small businesses. We're still doing that. to train the students and let the student to work and experience the whole working environment in the local setting, which is in Canada. And now we're partnering up with like all those companies, corporations, and universities. And I see those students without any like any ability to work in a local company. For example, like all those online technical issues happening because they don't know how to like log online to like do online meetings, or like don't know how to like log their hours, and all those like local all those local companies experience and working settings actually help them a lot. And now their resumes are not empty. It's not like we're trying to fill up their resumes. It's more like they need experience, and if they want to stay here, and that's for most of the people, for most of the students, that's why they choose Canada to study. If they want to stay here, they need help. And when their parents are not there, like my parents weren't here when I was an international student, they need help, and no one's here to help them. There's no right program for them, and that's really exciting, and that's really interesting to see, because a lot of companies and universities are start to like having those programs, and start like we have more partners to have this, and it's actually a really good thing to see. And I do see a lot of more and more international students, and not just from China, from all over the world, try to actively seeking for different kind of experience, to different kind of opportunity to experience the local working setting, instead of just fly back to their home country every summer. Not saying they shouldn't, to like take more courses, or like more online credit, or they're more willing, or they know that if they want to like get more involved in one of the culture or learn more, they will stay here and like study or experience the working environment, to learn more about the working setting here locally. So that's great thing to see, and I'm really happy that from those little, it's called work placement, so like work placement education program. So from the little small business partnering up with them to like now, we're actually making a difference, and more people realize that, oh, this is something I need, and that is equally important than as the GPA.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Considering about time, I'll just combine the like next two prepared questions into one. So what are some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned, or just talk about like if there's any regrets that you have looking back, that or mistakes that you've made before, like in operation, in your business operating? Thank you. Who want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. So I encountered a book, or I saw a book when I was in last year, two years ago, actually. Yeah, 2019. It's from MIT. It's called Disciplined Entrepreneurship Pathway. It has 24 steps of how you can build and operate a successful business. When I look at the whole map and the whole book, I realized that I did 24 steps, like exactly at their order, all of them. So the first one is market segmentation. So like I did all 24 steps with a lot of mistakes in between. So if I would give a recommendation for not making any mistakes, or like if you don't know what to do about like starting a business, or like you want to start something but you don't know where to start, or what's the first step or first few steps, from my personal experience, Disciplined Entrepreneurship Pathway is a really good book and a really good map that will make you will avoid a lot of mistakes, or you will be I won't say successful, but like more, you will be better. You will be better in like developing the whole business if you read that book. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I do agree with Liana, because I also use the textbook. I use it to teach entrepreneurship, and it's fantastic. You know, I wish there was something like that several years back. So I guess that's why they say that entrepreneurship can be taught, because there is a process. It doesn't matter what line of business you're into, you can apply that discipline process steps, you don't have to do it in any linear manner or anything like that, you know, but at least use it as something to guide you. There are many lessons I would love to share. I know time does not permit us, but if there is one thing that I would like people to take away from this engagement, for me, it is that one of my biggest lessons, you would always have issues to solve for your business. And I think fundamentally, you have to work the problem. Like, there is no idea that is perfect. No matter how fantastic that idea appears initially, there's always going to be a problem with that idea. With, you know, even if you're passionate about something, and then you would, if you have what we call it's called uninformed optimism. You go from uninformed optimism, you're all excited, oh wow, maybe you even dreamt about it, and then the reality hits you, you go into, we call it informed pessimism, like, oh wow, I didn't know that I'm gonna have to do all of this. This is crazy, I can't do this, you know. And then as you continue to, you know, push forward, cleaning up that idea, finding pathways, you get to the points where we call it informed optimism. So you're going from uninformed optimism to informed pessimism to informed optimism. And why do I say that? Is that there is no perfect idea, no matter what, it needs working on. And as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, one of the best things you can do is to work on your business rather than work in your business. Work on your business rather than work in your business. You know, every day you're always gonna seek pathways to make it succeed, looking forward, clearing obstacles and all of that.
I think that one thing that's probably consistent, no matter which entrepreneur you're talking to, is that everybody has made way too many mistakes to count. And every entrepreneur you're ever going to meet is covered in scar tissue of all the bad decisions and you know, all the technical issues and all the mistakes that they've ever made. And I'm, you know, my sort of approach to it has been like, you're going to make mistakes. Try not to make the ones that'll kill you. Try not to make the ones that will that will really hurt your business. And one great way to learn, you know, which mistakes those are is to read books, is to take courses, is to, you know, talk to people, listen to entrepreneurs who've got experience, and try to figure that out. I think one of the really valuable things, especially in tech, that I was fortunate enough to realize early on was, you know, behind every business, behind every partner, behind every computer, there's a person. And at the end of the day, your business is serving a person. You know, whether that's you know, in education, whether that's in, you know, a restaurant business, whether that's in a business like Orbs, where, you know, oftentimes we're just computers talking to computers. At the end of the day, the user is a human, is a person, and they have a reason for using your service or not using your service. And you have to make sure that everything you're doing is trying to understand how to solve their problem. One of our earliest users during the pandemic time built a platform, an online gaming platform, basically for people. And one of the things that I learned from him was that you know, as much as you build a platform and you have however many users every day, whatever your conversion is, you get wrapped up in all these metrics and all these analytics. At the end of the day, you want to make an experience that the visitor to your website, the user of your service, is happy with and is delighted with. So if you're thinking of starting a business, aside from learning how to code, I wish I had done that earlier. I wish I had learned how to code earlier, because that would have made things a lot easier. But really got to keep in mind that who your customer is, and that there's a person behind every veil.
Thank you. Thank you guys for all your answerings. And now we'll just jump into the Q&A part. According to the chat box, Nathan sent the first question. He's saying, aside from the passion for a specific area, what made you start having the idea of starting a business? Who among you want to kind of answer this question a bit?
Yeah, aside from passion, I would say the prospect of having control over my own time was a big draw for me. I've never liked being in a box. I don't like anything that has too many structure, if you know what I mean, like regimented, like, oh, you have to wake up at this time, you have to be at work at this time. And I know, entrepreneurship is discipline, right? It is discipline. That like a lot of people just think they see all the glamour in the media and they think that's all about it. But there is a real grind. But I want my own grind to be the grind that I really loved, that is not because it's somebody's grind that is telling me what to do. So for me, that prospect of freedom was the biggest draw. And I was willing to sacrifice a lot of things so that I can have control over my time. Like if tomorrow I said, oh, I have all this meeting, and I say, I don't want to attend any of this meeting. I want to have that power to say, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to attend that meeting. Not the one that I'm going to lose a job as a result of that. So for me, that's really what it's all about, apart from the fact that I have a passion for what I'm doing.
Thank you. For the next question in the chat box, I think Lena has already answered it, like the question related to pandemic. And for the next question is from Jiawei Zhu. What is the marketing strategy to raise awareness of your business when you just started? You want to go with this question?
Maybe I can take a stab at that. So it sort of depends on what kind of business you're starting. I talked about trying to be creative when you're just starting out. If you don't have a lot of capital, if you're trying to sell a product, there's a lot of great products that people are selling on Etsy. One of my friends actually, who was going to start, and I think ended up starting in consulting full time right after graduation. During the pandemic, didn't have anything to do, so she was like, okay, what do I do? So she bought a 3D printer and started printing things and posting pictures of them on Etsy. And she started posting stuff. After a couple of days, she realized she was getting a lot of orders for like little trinkets that look like cats. So then she like tweaked her SEO a little bit and found that a lot of like old ladies that owned cats wanted to buy trinkets to memorize, to sort of as memorabilia for their cats. Like you can sort of get really creative about how you launch. The internet's a great place to do that. For some businesses, it might make sense. Like if you're, like we talked about earlier, if you are the kind of customer that you're targeting, maybe you have friends that you can talk to that might actually be initially customers for you, whatever that business might look like. I had another friend who over the summer was opening an ice cream shop, and one day just walked in and was like, hey, do you guys all want ice cream? I'm like, okay, sure, we want ice cream. We'll go to your ice cream shop. Whatever business you're starting, you want to go and look for where your customers are and try to talk to them and try to get your product in front of them and show them and see if they're interested. It may or may not have traction right away, but at least that gets you feedback. That tells you, are they interested? If they're not, how do you get them interested? So early on, it pays to be a little bit scrappy and to just get in front of whoever you need to get in front of to get your business off the ground, I'd say.
And I do have, if you allow me, I do have some additional thoughts to what Eric just said. Like being scrappy. I think that's one attribute every startup should have. Your team, yourself. Yeah, you have to be scrappy. But in addition to what Eric said, I would like to say that in the end, life is a series of stories. It's all about stories. If you look at some of the most successful, the greatest organization, look at Tesla, you have Elon Musk, you have Steve Jobs. They are the biggest storytellers ever. And this is something that even I didn't understand. People told me, but I didn't see the power of it until very recently. I don't have the skill, but I'm also trying to like, what can I do? So when you don't have this huge marketing department behind you, you're just a scrappy startup. I think if you can find a way to tell the story from a human-centered perspective, it's very powerful. You know, you watch any movie anywhere, it's always about the story of a hero who overcame all kinds of challenges, and then in the end, he triumphed. Even if the hero or the heroes didn't triumph, but there is a struggle, and then there is a triumph in the end, whatever that triumph is. And the same thing goes for business. So the story you might be telling could be about your clients, about how, you know, like say for Eric's company, how it has made life easy for them, how they got so much value compared to other offerings that are available. So it's really about story. And if you are able to do that early on because you don't have the marketing budget, I think it can go a very long way. At least in our case at 1 Million Teachers, it really was very helpful. In fact, we told so many stories and we didn't tell a lie or anything like that about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. We had some clients giving us money and we had no clue when we were going to have even the first model developed for them. You know, so we were racing like crazy, like very desperate to get it done. So I think storytelling is really powerful for business. In fact, Steve Jobs says the most important person in an organization is the storyteller. There are many other important people. There are different roles that people play. But for you to get that early awareness, I think, yeah, write good stories, write content, write blogs, do anything that can help you generate leads, and then you know, and then it goes through the funnel to convert to sales. But do it in a way that it doesn't appear like you're selling, because that puts a lot of people off also. Do it like, you know, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answers to that one. I think our next question is from Mike, and he would specifically like to ask Hakeem, why did you choose to leave investment banking?
So, Mike, thank you for, I think it wasn't, I was actually moved out of the department where I was. I don't know if that made any sense. And another thing was I hated it with a passion. And, you know, I worked in a unit where we counted millions, and that's Nigerian currency in Naira. It's very impersonal, and you forget that all of this huge money that you're moving from institution to institution, it's an aggregation of so many people's livelihoods. You understand? So it's like you're flying at 50,000 feet. You don't see the reality on the ground. And these are, you know, Eric talked about it, about recognizing that in the end, it's about real people with hopes, with aspiration, and you're trading with their money. You understand? And you know, you can make mistakes, you do all of that. But it was until I was transferred out from investment banking to retail banking that I started dealing with the people whose money that is aggregated at corporate level that we were trading with, you know, and then you begin to see the real world as it is. And I'm grateful for that, because it probably won't lead me to where I am today. So it wasn't by design, it was just by accident. And I just find myself where I am today.
Thank you again. So this question is specifically Diana, and it's from Nathan, and he says, you noticed a gap between Queen's University and the international community. Where would you recommend to seek resources for international students to get hands-on and local experiences?
So first of all, schools, universities. So since you're a student, use all your resources at schools. That's free. That's actually not free. That's included in your tuition. So use them. Career Center, all those websites. That's actually like in your portal, course portal, that you can apply for different kind of hands-on and local experience, like jobs. All those. Please do so. that's you paid for it already, so just use them. Yeah, and yeah, and there are a lot of like different other kind of programs that set up by universities and by business like us. So it's paid experiences. Like for us in Top Offer, we have the workplace education program, but there are all kinds of different like experiences that you can actually get those kind of like work environment and all those experience. Some are educational like us, like we teach you and then you do some task, and some are you just apply, and once you're qualified you can just go and do that. So definitely ask, use your student identity, and like just ask, like take all the resources you can.
All right, thanks for that help. So we have one final question here from an anonymous attendee, and it's for all of you. So how did you guys deal with your legal issues when starting up your businesses? Does one of your founders have a law background, or is that something you would outsource to outside lawyers every time you encounter a legal problem?
I don't know what kind of a legal problem you have. If it's incorporation, like incorporate your business, Queen's University has free resources to incorporate your business. It's free. It's at the Law Society. You can just go there and ask them to do that. The only problem is that it's done by student, led by prof. So that may take several months. That's actually how I incorporate my first business. And if you ask me now for incorporation specifically, like starting up, like set up your own business, there's a website. It's the RBC Venture. There's a website called owner.ca. It was called founded. Whichever you search, you can find it. OWNR.co or CA. So you can incorporate your business there by yourself. It's a DIY process, and after that you can open your bank account in RBC. I'm not trying to like make any like promotion or anything here, but like after you open a bank account in RBC, they will refund you $300, which is incorporation service fee to you, right to your RBC account. This is a project by RBC Venture. I have a lot of friends working there. It's not a scam, it's real. And you can just basically get that for free. So definitely Google and search. If the legal question you had is about how to open your business and how to have your business license and all that, these are the like the free tips I would like to give to you.
I think I would like to add that first of all, as business owners, as entrepreneur, there is a language for business, and the language is a combination of economics, law, accounting, finance, and that. I think more than anything else, as you go along, even if you're going to consult with a lawyer or anything like that, expert, it will be nice to at least get a basic understanding, to be able to do the minimum. I think that would be my advice. There is no escaping it, right? Especially as the organization grows. You want to have a basic idea about all of these key disciplines that is useful for a business leader.
Okay, well, Hakeem, Eric, Liana, thank you for all your answers today to all our questions. I know entrepreneurship is often an area that many students are often very curious about because, as you said, it's only been recently that there's been some exact courses and textbooks dedicated to the area. So all the participants today, thank you for coming out and feeling interested in learning what these experts have to hear. And so that concludes our panel for the evening. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.